All right, so yes, go and put your name on that.
What day is it today?
Today is the 20th. And then, Susanna, I'm sorry to ask you this, but do you mind pulling our door too again? It's a little noisy in the hallway. I appreciate it. Okay, today we're going to talk about the UNRAAVEL method. And I did just ask you if you've done the UNRAAVEL method before, and I think each one of you said, nope, haven't done it yet. So we're going to talk about that. UNRAAVEL is a strategy that we'll use to help us with reading comprehension. So have you ever read a passage and then you go to answer the questions and then you can't remember what you read and you can't figure out how to answer the questions?
Yeah.
Well, UNRAAVEL is here to help us with that. I'm sorry. Can you let her in? All right. You underline the title. And we just talked about that. In, we're going to predict the passage based on what the title says. So our story, it's got kind of a funny title, so I'm going to get your predictions here in just a moment. R, run through and number the paragraphs. Obviously, we're not going to run, but we are going to number our paragraphs here in just a moment. A, the first A, are you reading the questions? So that tells us we're going to read the questions. The other A are important words circled. So we might look in our questions and circle some important words. It's kind of like in math with our cube strategy, we kind of underline important words. Same thing with the UNRAAVEL. V, venture through the passage, which means we're going to read through the story. And then E, eliminate incorrect answers. Do you ever do that when you take a test? You know something's wrong, you just go ahead and cross it out?
Yeah.
Same thing here.
With math and cubes.
Yes, yeah, we do the same thing. L, let the questions be answered. And that's where you just kind of turn loose and start answering questions. So let's try to apply this UNRAAVEL strategy. You've got a sheet here to help you out. I know it's a little dark, but that's how it printed out for me. All right, let's take a look at our story. It's called A Tricky Monkey. So the first letter of our UNRAAVEL, it says U. So Taylor, what does U mean?
U means underline the title.
So let's do that. You've got highlighters, so you can highlight instead of underlining, if that works for you. I'm a highlighter. I love to highlight.
Me too.
I'm going to grab a pen here.
I do wish you could use a marker, kind of.
Here we go. So underline the title, or you may have highlighted. So that's what yours would look like. Tricky Monkey. Now let's predict what the story might be about. Who has an idea? Mia's already got an idea. So what do you think it might be about?
I think it might be about a monkey and and he lives in the forest and he's not very cooperative with the other animals in the forest.
Okay, so maybe a stubborn monkey?
Mm-hmm.
Not very cooperative. Brady, what do you think?
I think maybe he's eating everything and bragging and everything.
Can you open the door? Thank you.
And
He's bragging? Yeah?
and then he's running away, hiding, and then all the other animals are trying to find him
Okay.
because they're mad at him. But then they don't, and then he comes back the next day and does the same thing.
Okay, well that's definitely one idea. I'll take another one here just in a moment. Okay, I'm going to take one more. Let's see, I've already called on Taylor. Let's call on Susanna and I'll get you another question.
I think it's a monkey that is very silly and doesn't make very good choices.
Okay, silly and doesn't make good choice. So we all had some very different predictions. I think I see a common theme here. We've got a monkey and maybe he's causing some trouble. That's what it sounds like from what I'm hearing from all of you. All right, let's take a look at our next step. What is our next step? We've done the U, we've done the N, now we need to do the R. Sadie, what does R tell us to do?
Run through and number the paragraph.
Very good. So let's number each paragraph. So I'm going to start with the very first one, and I'm just going to put a 1 right next to it. And I'm going to do the same thing with the rest. I have paragraph 2, paragraph 3. I'm just going to keep going down. Paragraph 4, 5, 6, and then I have 7. So I have a total of 7 paragraphs. Did you get 7?
I got 7.
Fantastic. We're on the same page. Okay, next is the first A. Who wants to tell me what the A means? Brady, help me out. What does A tell us to do?
Are you reading the questions?
Are you reading the questions? Well, let's take a look at our question page. Okay, so you have a separate sheet with questions right there. So let's go ahead and read through that. So the first question says, in the story, why are monkeys afraid of leopards? So when I'm reading through the story, I'm going to, when I see something about the word leopards, I want to pay attention to that, okay? That might be a clue as to what might be our answer here. So in the story, why are monkeys afraid of leopards? Actually, let's go ahead and talk about the next A. The next A says our important words circled. So what might I want to circle in this question, Mia? We just talked about it.
Why are monkeys afraid of leopards?
So let's circle leopards, right? So when we get to leopards in our story, we might want to pay special attention. So I went ahead and circled leopards in our question.
Could we highlight it?
You can highlight it, yes. If you have a highlighter, you can highlight it. Number 2 says, Kojo faces a problem when a leopard comes and the other monkeys do not listen to his warning. How does he solve this problem? What do you think the important clue here might be when we get to that part of the story? What do you think, Brady?
That he is not listening to the other monkeys and the leopard is coming.
Okay, so maybe not listening or maybe something about a warning. Does it sound about right? What do you think, Taylor?
I think it's just like the boy who cried wolf.
Yes,
Okay, so you
that's what I
think
was
making a
going to
prediction
say.
there? Maybe. We'll find out. All right, so our third question. Which word best describes the feeling of Kojo's Aunt Amma in the third paragraph? I hear a couple different clues in there. Do you hear them? Which word best describes the feeling of Kojo's Aunt Amma in the third paragraph? So what do you think we might want to circle here as important words? What about the aunt's name? When you come across Aunt
Kojo's.
Amma,
Whoops. Aunt
I would circle Aunt Amma. When I hear Aunt Amma when I'm reading the story, I might pay attention to that.
Oh,
What do you
and
think?
we should do the third paragraph.
Third paragraph, that's also a very good clue. Let's circle third paragraph. That's a very good one. So that's what I have circled. Or you might highlight that. Highlighting and circling there serve the same purpose here. Okay. All right. So let's run through the next step in our unravel. Okay. The next one says venture through the passage. So I think it's time to read through the passage. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and read it out loud. And I want you to listen for any of the words that we circled when we ran through those questions. Okay. So I'm going to start with the first paragraph. Kojo the monkey lived in the rainforest. There were lots of monkeys in Kojo's part of the forest. Kojo had many brothers and sisters. That was good, because Kojo had many monkeys to play with. But Kojo liked to get attention, too. That was hard to do with so many monkeys around. Any of you have lots of brothers and sisters?
I do. I have a baby brother.
I have 3 sisters, and that's it.
She has 3 sisters.
Who has 3 sisters? Oh, I know you do. Do you ever feel that way like Kojo? Where you,
No.
No? You feel like you get as much attention as your brothers and or your sisters?
I have
Yeah?
3 sisters and 1 brother.
Do you ever feel like they get more attention? Do you ever feel like Kojo does?
A lot.
Yeah?
A lot more attention to me because they're smaller. I'm the oldest one.
Ah.
Because I don't.
So you have to help take care of everyone, don't you?
Yeah, and the 2 ones that are older than me aren't really around that much.
Well, I see.
Sister eggs, I don't ever feel like that because each of us always get that same amount of attention.
Well, that's great.
So
That's great.
we
Well, let's read through the next paragraph. We'll get through some more questions. One day, Kojo decided to play a trick on the other monkeys. Uh-oh. Leopard, Kojo cried. A leopard is coming. I think we circled on those words, didn't we?
Yes.
Okay. The monkeys scrambled. They climbed up to the highest tree branches, and they shook with fear. Leopards like to eat monkeys. So in our question, number 1 says, in the story, why are monkeys afraid of leopards? So, Taylor, what would I select? We have A, leopards can climb high in trees. B, leopards cannot be trusted. C, leopards like to eat monkeys. Or D, leopards like to trick monkeys.
See, because it just said in the story that leopards like to eat monkeys.
That's true. So we would circle that, or you can highlight it if you have your highlighter. Very good. Okay, so let's keep going. Kojo laughed. Ha! Just kidding, he said. Kojo's Aunt Amma scolded him. Nobody likes a liar, Kojo. Kojo felt bad for a little while, but soon he got bored. A few days later, he did it again. All right, we heard some. I see hands. So I see that you're hearing a clue word. What are we hearing? Mia, what are we hearing?
Aunt Alma.
Aunt Alma. So which word best describes the feeling of Kojo's Aunt Alma in the third paragraph? We have A, embarrassment, B, frustration, C, sadness, or D, anger. What do we think? Do we think it's A? Show me your hands. A for embarrassment, B, frustration, C, sadness, or D, anger.
I think it's kind of anger.
I would probably take either frustrated or anger at this point.
Because I kind of mean
But it does say Aunt Alma scolded him. So scolding is probably a little more strong of a word than frustration, don't you think?
Yeah.
Like when does like a mama scold someone? Like when she's angry, right? And she got the finger out.
Yes.
Yeah.
My brother set a carpet on fire once.
And he probably got scolded, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's probably anger. I would probably choose D for number 3 there. Okay, let's keep going. Paragraph 4 is where I'm at. Leopard, Kojo cried. A leopard is coming. The monkey scrambled again, and Kojo laughed. Ha, just kidding again, he said. Aunt Alma shook her head. Be careful, Kojo. Nobody will believe anything you say if you keep this up. The monkeys were all pretty upset with Kojo. They ignored him. Kojo sat in a tree branch, bored and lonely. Then he saw a shadow on the ground below. A hungry-looking leopard padded across the rainforest floor. Leopard! A leopard is coming for real this time, Kojo yelled. But none of the monkeys paid any attention. The leopard was headed right for them. Kojo knew what he had to do. Here, leopard, over here, he yelled. The leopard chased Kojo. Kojo climbed up to the highest branches. The other monkeys now saw the leopard and they climbed into the trees too. The leopard could not climb as high as the monkeys. She gave up and walked away. Kojo was relieved. The other monkeys were glad that Kojo had tried to save them. They forgave him for lying and played with him again, and Kojo became someone they could trust. Okay, so we have number 2 that we have not answered yet. Kojo faces a problem when the leopard comes and the other monkeys do not listen to his warning. How does he solve this problem? How does he solve the problem? Brady, you've had your hand up. What do you think?
He leads he gets the leopard to chase him away.
Who agrees with B by getting the leopard to chase him? I would agree with that too. All right, so let's circle B there. All right, so E on our Unravel says we could eliminate incorrect answers. You all did a great job finding the correct answers. I'm pretty sure that you could have crossed out any. Actually, did anyone cross out any? No? All right. And then we've also answered the questions. So we did the L part of our Unravel. So you all did a fantastic job, and I really appreciate your hard work. Thanks for helping me out. Okay. Hi, this is John Riggs, and this is my video reflection number 2 for student teaching over differentiated instruction. The lesson that I taught for this video was the Unravel strategy for reading comprehension. The small group that I chose to work with was a group of students in our MTSS time, which at our school is called Pride Time. The group of students that I worked with, they, not necessarily my lowest group of students, but they would be that next tier up, who just needs a little extra support in order to be successful with reading strategies. I felt the lesson went pretty well. Now that I'm reflecting back on it and I've rewatched the video, I definitely noticed where I had so many distractions during that period, and it was just really surprising to me watching it and realizing just how many distractions there are during that tiered learning time. Distractions like that are not uncommon during our Pride time, and you'll notice me several times looking off to the side because someone's at the door, whether it's an adult or another student or something like that. So I apologize for the distractions. I don't know how kids work with that all day long, with people coming and going. That would really be distracting to me. I think I've learned from my work as a para for 5 or 6 years and then teaching all day, I've kind of learned to just kind of tune those things out. So I definitely, from rewatching the video, I think I got a little bit of a perspective from students who maybe have ADD or ADHD, how distracting that is for other things to be going on in the classroom. I did notice some positives though. My students were engaged the entire time. They were really interested in the learning. I think especially because, you know, I had a camera on me and that was just something really novel to them. So they were on really good behavior, which they usually are, but they were really engaged and weren't off task too much, which was really quite amazing because I have a chatty group of students, and I think they were really interested in what the story was all about because the title was really interesting, A Tricky Monkey. So kind of a fun title for a story. As far as differentiated instruction goes, again, it was a small group during tiered learning support. You'll notice I had a microphone. I wear a microphone every day to project my voice. My cooperating teacher has a voice that can project pretty well. For me, I don't like to push too hard because by the end of the day, my voice is so strained, and then I don't feel like talking to my family when I get home. So the microphone has really helped not only for my benefit, but also for students. We do have a couple of students who have auditory disabilities, so the microphone really helps them to hear what I'm saying when I'm across the room. It also helps all students maybe to be more focused when they can hear my voice evenly all throughout the room. Something I thought was really cool when I was rewatching the video was I talked about how my students were engaged in the learning. I noticed a student had made a connection to the UNRAAVEL strategy. They made it a connection like to math, how we use the CUBE strategy for math, and so how they're very similar. It's an acronym that walks you step by step in either reading comprehension for UNRAAVEL or for word problems like the CUBE strategy. So I thought that was a really neat thing that that they were making connections to other content areas and how the strategies can help them be successful. I liked how I got feedback and input from students. I try to do that as much as possible. That helps me to engage or to gauge their learning, to see if we're on track, to see if I need to slow down or stop where I'm at and reteach in the moment. I noticed that I summarized student responses, especially the student predictions. I asked students to make predictions because that was one of the steps of the UNRAAVEL. And then for the benefit of the rest of the group to help tie in those predictions to maybe draw out a theme. So that way we have all these different predictions. And I remember as a student, when I hear all these other ideas, my mind wants to think about everything people are saying. So I try to tie those all together to help summarize those so that way we can kind of keep on the same page together. I definitely try to call on students equally, and I think that works out really well. I feel like every student felt valued, and their input was greatly appreciated by me, definitely. I also modeled how to do the UNRAAVEL strategy, showing students how to circle clue words or how to underline or highlight the title, how we make predictions. Again, I summarize their predictions. So definitely modeling that, showing them what I want them to do, numbering paragraphs, going step by step. And they were following along very well, right along with me. I was very impressed with them. And then helping students make personal connections to the story, about siblings and the time that they get to spend with their family, just helping draw those personal connections. I think that really helps draw these strategies in more deeply with the students. They can make those connections, and I think that's really what differentiated learning is all about. How can I connect this idea or this strategy or this concept with each student so that way they've got something that really sticks and can help them out. Otherwise, we're just kind of going in circles if we don't have personal connections. So that's what the lesson was all about, just teaching the Unravel strategy, making personal connections, and gauging where my students were at. And I was pretty pleased with the results. The following day, we did another reading activity using Unravel strategy, and we were able to mostly use the strategy without our helper sheet, without the visual aid. So I was quite pleased with how well they were able to remember the steps that we took. So that's my reflection. I really felt the lesson went pretty well, and I will definitely be using the Unravel strategy in the future, I think.